Oh, hello. I can see you there. It's one of the many perks of being jacked into the digital world.
Dude, you're just playing Hatsune Miku.
No, my child. I'm living a life that you've never experienced.
Dude, I can see the TV.
What? Mom!
It's about fucking time. I've waited 26 years for this. 26 years to shoot zombies from a minecart. 26 years to to be the Batman. 26 long and horrible rotations around the sun, aching to be close to a woman, and now at long last I can be. Thank fuck it's not terrible. A bit gimmicky, but not terrible. The recent release of the PlayStation VR has put the once niche and enthusiast headsets a bit closer into the hands of the normies, and, well, we picked one up. A couple $100, a few stalks of ginger, and some fever dreams later, I want to talk about a few games.
So yeah, this is going to be limited to specifically games on the PlayStation VR. In the future, I'd love to get more headsets and give it a whirl, but for now, this will have to do. Do I look cool? Yeah, I thought so.
So right off the bat, let's just talk about the headset. It's not the sleekest looking thing. I mean, with any of the VR goggles, you're sure to look like a goober, but the sheer size of the PSVR is pretty ridiculous. It reminds me of the 90s depiction of future technology, or like something that would be straight out of Men in Black. But god damn, it's comfortable. I've never once had an issue with it feeling intrusive on my head. It's balanced well, supports glasses, and with the exception of there being a big ass screen in your face, feels natural. With that said, there's gonna be a lot that I really can't relay properly. They don't tell you that these VR headsets create a decent 3D effect with games, making particle effects look fucking crazy. It's something you really have to see to understand, but with that said, let's get into the games. Now obviously I haven't been able to play everything because money, but I feel like I've gotten a good taste of most of what's available. But for the games that I don't own, let's take a quick look at the demo disc.
I feel like it's been forever since I've seen a physical demo disc, but thankfully there's a lot of stuff on here, so let's give it a shot.
Eve Valkyrie was the first thing I have ever done in VR, and well, it doesn't disappoint. Now, I've never really been into Eve Online because of, well, fear for my life, but I've always been interested in the world. And right off the bat, Valkyrie tosses you into a ship and asks you to go fuck some people up. You start off in a hangar before being propelled directly into space and start shooting up motherfuckers. For my first VR experience, it was pretty awesome. The demo is relatively short, but does its job. You can look around the cockpit as you please, which makes dogfights feel really exciting as you follow an enemy with your vision. But this was at a public demo, because when I played it at home, I just kind of looked at my tits a lot, and my floating body. It was weird. Battlezone is a pretty similar concept, but you're in a tank. And rather than having super realistic visuals, Battlezone goes for a highly stylized neon look. It's pretty fucking rad. This is actually a reboot of the 1980s Atari 2600 game of the same name, and this is how you fucking do it. Yeah, it's incredibly simple, but as far as immersive and fun VR experiences go, this feels great. There's so many cool details in the HUD you can see by just looking around, and supposedly this one has good co-op. I'll have to pick it up at some point. Riggs is a multiplayer shooter where you're in the cockpit of a giant fighting mech. Wait, is there a theme going on here? Yeah, a lot of the launch titles in VR games in general seem to be cockpit games. Not that that's a bad thing, but it seems like early VR has limitations on what kind of experience you can have. I mean, it's hard to argue against being in a giant robot fighting other giant robots, especially with the cool sense of verticality that Riggs has. Okay, now for Kitchen, the Resident Evil 7 demo. I got sick. Here they lie! I got really sick. Drive Club VR? Yeah, not everything's perfect. There are two major issues with the PSVR. The tracking of the devices and move controller seems to be off at times, depending on lighting in the game itself. The controller will just jitter around even when you're sitting completely still. Most of the time it's not an issue, but combine that with certain games and it's painful. For example, every game I mentioned looks crunchy and highly aliased in the headset, and when you combine the jittering with low resolution graphics, it fucks me up. I had to stop playing in the middle of a stream due to it, not because I'm a huge coward. Shut up.
I don't like that it's just fading.
As for the more unique experiences on the demo disc, Rez Infinite is basically everything you expect. Fans of Rez will be in heaven. People who have never heard of Rez will be in heaven. And fans of Acid will feel right at home. It's essentially an on-rail shooter like Star Fox, but you control your aim with the head. The low-poly nature of the graphics makes it so much easier to digest, and goddamn, it's a blast. Gonna be picking this one up as soon as possible. Headmaster seems to employ a Valve-esque sense of humor in a game based off smacking footballs with your face. It plays well and the demo made me laugh more than once, so I'd call that a success. Super Hypercube is the next game from Polytron, the guys responsible for Fez. It's such a strange game and something that really wouldn't work without VR. Since the VR headset has head tracking, you're trying to fit a shape generated at random into a hole. It sounds really generic, but I've never played anything else like it.
So just from the demo disc, we've got a good mix of games. Mostly positive, minus a couple technical issues that marred me from playing, causing me to have to lay down for a couple hours. But this is just the beginning because there's way too much. Keep that tape. You have to keep that tape.
Some of the more interesting VR games use the PlayStation Move controllers to give the player a sense of using their hands. This works particularly well in games like Oh My Genesis. Is that a joke? Where you play the role of God. It's pretty awesome, actually. You'll spin the planet around and move little creatures in order to preserve and expand the ecosystems of the planets you watch over. You can use torches to fend off enemies, block meteors with your hands, and even watch the little guys fuck in VR. The only problem here is that you'll be done with the game in 30 minutes. It's not finished yet, as there's several planets not in the game yet. I mean, it's only $4, but still, it seems to be a little more than a tech demo at this point. Keep this point in mind, because I'm gonna say it a lot in this video. Batman Arkham VR takes you on a pretty rad roller coaster ride where you become the goddamned Batman. Yeah, look how cool and buff we are!
Where's Rachel? I'm so cool.
It's really interesting to see how different people play VR in the same situations though. Take Lee, for example. On stream, when given the opportunity to step into Bruce Wayne's shoes, he went full roleplay and it was fucking great. Me, on the other hand, I'm 12. It's a pretty neat experience, but it's very short. And by short, I mean it's beaten in a single hour. That's not so bad, minus the fact that it costs $20. Do the math, that's like $20 per hour of entertainment. A lot of you have probably already seen it, but Job Simulator is a bundle of fun as well. Step out of your subsidized living and hop into the job museum and explore what life was like in the past. You can be an office worker, a chef, a convenience store worker, or an auto mechanic, because there weren't any other jobs remembered by history. Job Simulator is all shenanigans, but I love it so much. The sense of humor is colored with a number of references, and it works without feeling too campy. It's bonkers all about, and it doesn't take itself seriously whatsoever. The physics feel great and relatively natural, at least most of the time. Due to the fact that the VR headset requires the PlayStation camera tracking lights, you move out of range amidst fucking about, causing some heavy jittering. I gotta say though, the most satisfying thing here is being able to toss an object into the air and then catch it with your other hand. There weren't many games that did this well, but goddamn, Job Simulator felt so fucking good with this. But there's one big problem here. Despite all of the praise it so rightfully deserves, Job Simulator is again incredibly short. You can get through all 4 jobs in a mere 2.5 hours while fucking about, and it's $30. It just feels a little expensive for the time I spent. If they continue to add new things for us to do, I'd say it's worth it, but unless you really want to mess around, I'd say wait for a sale.
Next up, we have a game called Loading Human Chapter 1, which I had to pick up after reading the back where it says, develop complex relationships and fall in love. I pointed to the PlayStation Move compatible thing. But that's not what I meant. This is the point, right?
Well, I'm certainly not in love with this control scheme. Holy shit. You have to hold buttons down on the Move controller and then gesture in a direction in order to move. It works, but it's so awkward that it's hard to get used to. But at least we can fucking shave. And do this. Walk into a club, dance like this, you're guaranteed to develop some complex relationships. I don't know about love, but next. Alright, let's put all these games to shame and talk about something I love with the Playroom VR, the free digital download you can get. Oh my fucking god, it's so good! Imagine Nintendo Land, but with a focus on VR and party multiplayer for up to 5 players. Oh, did I mention it's free? So, in the Playroom, there's a total of 6 games to mess around with. Now, showing these games is gonna be interesting, as the player with the VR headset has a completely different perspective than everyone on the TV, so bear with me. First up is Cat and Mouse, where the player with the headset tries to stop a bunch of mice from stealing cheese. You hide behind a curtain before lunging out and fucking people up and dishing out spankings. Oh yeah. There's Monster Escape, where it's you, a giant tentacle monster, against a Super Sentai team. It's fucking cute. Knocking down buildings with your face is super satisfying. Or, you know, headbutting your friends on the couch.
Yeah, they're just like...
There's also Saloon Shootout, where players try to describe what a bounty looks like to the player with the headset. It gets pretty hectic, especially if you have 6 or 7 people to look through. Lose, however, and everyone dies. Yikes. Ghost House is a pretty simple ghost hunting game that follows the basic rules of the Saloon game, but differently, the player with the headset cannot see the ghosts on screen, so it's up to the others to describe where to aim the shots. It's really hectic and usually ends in a bunch of screaming. There's also a platformer that lends itself more to being a single player experience, with the second player being a nearly useless helper. This one's just alright. And lastly, we have a figure collection gallery where you can view figures you unlock. Being able to get up really close to them with the headset is pretty neat, although this is ultimately just a gallery. And all of that was free! My friends and I have played this one quite a bit, and I'm sure it'll be a centerpiece for a while. Now, you put this up against the similar PlayStation VR worlds, and it's a world of difference. Into the Deep, interactive movie with water and sharks and shit. Danger Ball, Pong in your face, super short but pretty cool. The London Heist, interactive movie with gangsters, but you get to do a few things like shoot a gun. VR Luge, luging. Scavenger's Odyssey, cockpit tank game with interesting This was included in the starter bundle for free, but had I paid $40 for this standalone, I probably would have been incredibly disappointed. It lacks the fun factor that I think Playroom had, and that's unfortunate. This feels like a collection of tech demos rather than anything deep, which is fine, but not $40, I think. There's a couple of free things available on PSN besides Playroom too, like World War Toons, the slowest first-person shooter I've ever played. Call of Duty Jack LaSalle, aka the demo for Eve Valkyrie. Like, seriously. Or the demo for Hatsune Miku VR Future Live. You're tossed into the crowd of a Hatsune Miku concert, and as a fan, it's your job to cheer her on, only sometimes with a rhythm game. And now I have a leak for some reason. This sure is stupid. Certainly won't keep playing or pick up the season pass or anything.
Dance, Miku! Dance! Stop. Now there's still a good amount of games that I haven't been able to cover because there's just so many, but I wanted to end this with some of my favorites, some that might make you want to dive into VR yourself. Until Dawn Rush of Blood is so much fucking fun, I'm serious.
I wasn't entirely sold on VR until I hopped into the roller coaster seat here and had my first jump scare.
Oh dude, the 3D audio works.
Horror and jump scares are straight up made for VR. While things like the previous horror demos made me sick, being forced to sit down and take what was headed my way in a rail shooter setting was absolutely perfect. You become 100% in charge of your own fate as you have to physically avoid hazards and use flashlights to navigate the darkness. You're stuck on this thrill ride and the only way out is to shoot. There's gallery-style targets to hit as well as hidden objects and the various horror creatures that infest this game. Zombies, clowns, butchers, spiders, it's got them all. There's also the ability to take multiple paths through the same level, which only adds to the replay value, which in a rail shooter is a perfect combo. Now, I've never played Until Dawn, but supposedly the entire aesthetic of this game is based on a theme park version of the game that goes haywire. You know, deep roller coaster lore, simple stuff. Now, as a lot of you know, I'm a big baby when it comes to the survival horror genre. With the exception of things like Resident Evil, I never found joy in scaring the shit out of myself. But being able to experience it in a VR setting where you can't escape made me understand the appeal. So thanks to you, Until Dawn, for quite literally giving me that rush of blood. And it's only $20! What the heck? Next up is the sequel to what was once considered a shovelware Wii game. Y'all heard of Carnival Games? At the very least, you've probably seen the face of this usher in your nightmares. Well, this is great in VR. It's the most simple concept ever, but man, minigame collections just work in this setting, especially carnival games where you're doing weird and silly shit. The move controllers feel responsive and make throwing objects super easy and, well, gratifying. Throwing basketballs, rolling ski balls, and enjoying the shooting gallery just worked. The only game that gave me issues was the obstacle course one, and that's a mix of issues with rapid tracking and me swinging my arms outside of the range of the camera. But everything works in a big cycle. You play games to earn tickets, spin tickets to unlock prizes, and other minigames. You can use those prizes to mess around in a little playroom where you can throw shit around. VR is saved!
And that's all we have to say about the US offering. The Japanese offering, on the other hand, well...
I'm not talking about the Idolmaster game, that's just a little too much. There's two tech demos that stand out here, the first being the Godzilla one. I mean, you kinda just look at Godzilla rampaging through a city and then it ends, but the sense of scale in VR is really good. Secondly, and the thing I'm deeply in love with, is Cyber Danganronpa. For anyone who knows me, I love Danganronpa. I use the music and videos all the time, and Jesus fucking Christ, somebody save me! But yeah, Cyber Danganronpa tosses you into a not-canon version of the first game. You play as Makoto Naegi, and you're just living through a class trial. The particle effects are fucking unreal here, and the way you're able to shoot truth bullets with your controller feels natural. Or you can be like me and try to bury your face in some boobies. The demo ends with you going through your own execution, and with 3D sound, it all feels incredibly immersive. My only problem is that it's way too short. The potential is real though. Being able to potentially investigate crime scenes, interact with characters, and witness the absolutely ridiculous world of Danganronpa sounds, in my opinion, fucking incredible. Let's make it happen, Spike Chunsoft. I'm begging you!
And lastly, shut up. Yes, I got Summer Lesson.
And despite me not being able to understand 99% of anything going on, I fucking loved it.
No, seriously.
There's a very strange human aspect missing from a lot of these VR games. Despite being visually 100% immersed in the worlds that VR games throw at you, there wasn't anything I played that attempted to get you emotionally attached to a character. Summer Lesson, with no knowledge of the Japanese language, got me to fucking care. That's weird, man! So this is Hikari Miyamoto. Apparently I'm supposed to be her sensei, as she just keeps calling me that. I'm teaching her subjects, and she's reacting to me shaking my head yes or no, or saying things. Sometimes she gets in real close and wants to show me a picture, and fuck man, I feel like a creepy fucker, but holy shit, I love it! I mean, I'm a terrible candidate for a teacher, considering I can't even communicate with her, but seeing her grow was pretty satisfying. Watching her become a B student was one of the proudest moments in my life, and the game made sure to let me know by playing some of the most inspirational music I've ever heard. Summer Lesson is handled in a way that isn't sexualized, but instead given to you with intrigue. I mean, sure, you can be a creepy fucker. For instance, when I approached Hikari, she would actually back away from me, and other times just freak out. But don't do that! She's a precious cinnamon roll and she needs to study! One of the cool benefits of VR and head tracking is 3D audio. Each game in this video has used it, but the way it was used in Summer Lesson was a near ASMR experience at times. You can actually listen to your phone in whatever ear you hold it up towards. There are parts where Hikari gets really close, and the expertly made sound design makes it feel a bit too real, but damn it, it was awesome. While at the core of it, Summer Lesson may just be a princess raising type game, it's something I'm never gonna forget. In fact, I would venture to say that Summer Lesson offers something that takes an old concept and is able to move it to the next level with current technology. A true original and unique experience that I guarantee you will be replicated by many others. I'll totally buy it again with an English translation. I don't give a fuck! It is getting a subtitled version in the Asia region, but I would love to see a fully localized version of this game akin to those initial trailers.
But I know some of you are gonna be like, dude, Austin, talk about real video games, not these fake virtual women. Cover the bouncer.
Okay, fine, you want a real video game? How about Ace Banana? Oh, look, I'm a guy protecting bananas and shooting monkeys. Social simulators aren't real games because things aren't dying. I mean, actually, it's not so bad because the action of drawing a bow and arrow feels satisfying and the controls are relatively tight and there's plenty of character. What? No. Well, shit. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like or subscribe to us. You can also follow us on Twitch and Twitter and do all those things. And if you want to have your art featured on the show, make sure to tweet it at me or email it or do whatever you want to do. Had a lot of fun making this one. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, take it easy.